Okay, so are we live? Let me check. Okay. Hello, everyone, and a very good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on where you are joining us from around the world. Welcome to the Shack Podcast, where we dive deep into the conversations shaping the future of professional networking, technology, and trust. Today's episode is not just another podcast, it's an eye opener. We are exploring one of the most critical topics of our digital age: how LinkedIn uses your data to train AI and what that really means for you. And to unpack this complex, fascinating subject, I couldn't have asked for anyone better. Joining us today is Mike Adam, the Kohinoor of LinkedIn Mastery, a renowned digital strategist, data privacy consultant, and one of Europe's top LinkedIn trainers. He's been empowering professionals and organizations for over 2 decades to turn social platforms into engines for sales, recruitment, and brand growth. Mike, my friend, it's such a pleasure to have you here today. Welcome to the Shack Podcast. How are you today?
Thank you. I'm glad to be on this show. I feel very honored to be on the show, and I hope I can contribute to an interesting little hour of knowledge about LinkedIn and I guess AI.
The pleasure is all mine. And to my audience, if you're listening to some music in the background, and Mike, if you're able to hear some music in the background, that is a marriage function going on around my house. So, is it much noise?
Nah, no, it's just background noise. It's okay. I there's no and there's no interruption in our conversation today. Actually, it might make it a little more upbeat.
Exactly, exactly. Anyways, it is my birthday, so there should
Oh,
be celebrations. It's my birthday today.
congratulations!
Thank you.
Congratulations, and have a piece of cake.
I would definitely do. But before that, we have to dive into this interesting conversation because I've heard, and this is just in the news, that LinkedIn is using our data to train its AI model. And that is what we are going to discuss today. To all my audience who are listening to this live program, take this opportunity to speak to the best of the best. If you've got any questions, just go ahead and ask Mike right away. So, Mike, we'll start the questionnaire in a moment.
Mhm.
But before that, could you please explain what's going on, what's in the news? On November 3rd, LinkedIn announced that it's going to take some data of their users, comments, their posts, their profiles, their interest, and it's going to use that data to train its AI model. And now the catch here is you cannot opt out of it. Just want to know quickly your perspective and your point of view on this.
Well, to start out with, something of a, I won't say correction, but LinkedIn has been using the data of the US people for a large number of months already to do a training of their AI system. The announcement of November 3rd, in terms of the day that you switch it off or you leave it on, is more for the rest of the world. So LinkedIn has been already training its AI system with data from the US and some other countries, English speaking mainly. And now it's widening the net of everybody else. So I mean, it's an announcement, yes, but it's just a continuation what they started, and they are now reaching out to more users to train their AI system so that if we as users are going to use AI on LinkedIn. We're going to dig into this database to or this LLM, as we should call it these days, um, for the answers that will come out of it. But it's something, like I said, it's new for the rest of the world. It's not as new for people in the US.
Okay, so you say that it has already started in the United States, and
Oh,
we never knew about it.
well, yes, you knew about it because the setting in your privacy settings of LinkedIn has been there for many months, and there was a bit of debate in the US about this function. But unlike Europe, where there is something called the GDPR law and the Digital Security Act and stuff like that, LinkedIn has not reached out to the European marketplace to train and to get data and to train its LLM. In the US, it's been sitting there, and there was some talk, but not much. But it's been going on.
Hmm. That's, I mean, say, I heard that we can opt out of it when it was announced in the United States, but now they are saying that you cannot opt out of it. They are going to use your data anyhow. So, do you think that's a
Well,
good thing?
yeah, but the thing is, what they asked you to fund for the opt-in or the opt-out was that they could take all your data from the past. And what I mean by that is if you take a download of your LinkedIn data that you can do in the privacy section of LinkedIn, you get all the files that LinkedIn keeps on you. And before the you could before the 3rd of November, LinkedIn said, well, are you agreeing to us using that data or not? So LinkedIn is picking up all the data that we've ever produced on our profile, on our the messages, the posts that we created, the comments that we did. All of that is now going to be taken and is going to be introduced into the AI or the LLM called 360 Brew to actually train the LLM. Now, going forward, I think it has no more sense because they've already gotten your data.
Hmm. Okay. So, do
So
you think? Please go
I
ahead.
think at some point they will offer the option for people to say, I don't want to continue training the system, but in the meantime, you've given all your data. So whatever you add on now is probably going to be minimalistic versus what you've already contributed to the LLM.
Okay. So, do you think, in your expert view, is that a good thing or a bad thing, or it is a great thing for the future? So, what is your take on that?
Well, the thing is, I have a very simple view on this. If you want to use AI on LinkedIn, which now is only available through premium subscriptions, if you're going to be using AI, I think you should also contribute to teaching that system adding your data to the system. If you don't, or if you're not going to use AI, it's up to you what you feel that you want to do. But I think it's hypocritical to say, I'm going to use AI on my LinkedIn profile or post creation, message creation, whatever it is, but I'm not going to share my data with you, which I think is totally ridiculous. I mean, I know a lot of trainers are saying, yeah, privacy and all of this stuff. Right. Okay, fine. But it's hypocritical. Sorry, I have no other term for it. I'm using AI on LinkedIn. I feel I need to contribute. And the advantage is when I give my data to LinkedIn, I guess I will get better and more focused content back at the end. So I think it's a good thing for people who want to use AI. I think people who don't want to use AI, I can understand. It's not a question that they even should consider. And I think then it makes sense for them to say, no, I'm not going to train the AI.
Well, that was a strong word.
I believe in taking stance. I believe in taking stance, and I kind of like am really annoyed at some colleagues that or LinkedIn power users in this case that are advising people to switch it off. Of course, it's too late now. Switching off before November 3rd when they're really using AI to create posts. I mean, it just doesn't make sense.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So, to all my users, if you've got any questions regarding LinkedIn's new policy about using your data for training its AI model, just jump into the comments and tell me
Mhm.
what do you think about this. And also, if you can, where you are listening from, and if you can hear us all right, if you are audible or not. So just flood the comments with your heart emojis and your questions, and I'm going to put them across to the great Mike Adams, and he's going to explain them all. So make use of this opportunity. So
Mhm.
Mike, before going further, before starting the real questions, Mike, you've said that people, it is very hypocritical to say that we are using AI to create the post, even to engage the comments and everything, to create the banners. I also do that, but personal data is something different, which AI, which LinkedIn wants to use to train its AI model. So, don't you think there is a difference between taking help from AI to create our posts and banners and other stuff, and giving out our personal information, and also without our hold on it? That means we does not have the power to opt out of it. So what do you have to say about that?
Well, I mean, the thing what LinkedIn will not do is actually keep the personal data. They have to stay away from that. They have to anonymize the data by itself so that it doesn't lead to you as a person or as an individual. So that part I can understand why it would be good if we could make a bit of difference in terms of what kind of data that LinkedIn can and cannot use, knowing that they're going to anonymize the data, and then obviously if the data is anonymous, it just will help the whole the whole system in this thing. So in itself, it would be nice if we could separate certain things, if we could, check mark what they can use and what they can't use. But unfortunately, now it's too late. If you had it open, it's gone. Don't you're not going to be able to get it out of the AI LLM. It's remembered. It's I know it's anonymous, but it is in the system integrated.
It is what it is, Mike. Well, to be very honest, please go ahead.
No, no, it is what it is. But I think with this hard set date of November 3rd, you gave permission or you didn't. If you didn't, well, I guess you're not going to get the same level of detail from the AI because the AI doesn't know you as well as if you had given your data. But I mean, there's no reason to complain afterwards that the answers in AI that you're getting back are not good. If you want it to be good, you have to contribute to it.
Exactly. Exactly. I totally agree with you. I totally agree with you. Anyhow, once a wise man said that any social media platform is a rented space, and if you are not a if you're not buying from them, uh, you know, or if you're not a premium member, or so then you are the product. Uh,
Yeah.
you know,
Well,
I
in all reality, we are the product. Whether we like it or not, we are the product. LinkedIn is just using us, our profiles, and it hasn't been any different for the last 22 years. Well, it has been a little bit different in the beginning versus now, but we've become over the years what LinkedIn has to sell. LinkedIn is selling our profiles, if I can put it that way, to people who want to pay money to be in front of our eyes. And that hasn't changed with the introduction of the AI on LinkedIn or the. So, I mean, advertising has been part of LinkedIn for a long time, and we've become the product LinkedIn is selling. LinkedIn is just a vehicle.
exactly, but I still love LinkedIn. This this live event is going on LinkedIn as well. So
Mhm.
no offense here. We
No,
love
no,
LinkedIn.
no. Oh, no, no, no. I mean, I like LinkedIn. And as you said correctly, we are building a house on rented land. If LinkedIn tomorrow stops, everything we've built on LinkedIn just disappears with, a click of the finger. So what can we say? It's LinkedIn is living because we are contributing with our presence there, with our time there.
Exactly, exactly. Uh, anyhow, there is no other alternative to LinkedIn. LinkedIn is the biggest database we've got on this planet, and a professional platform for business and every other thing. So it's very different from other social media platforms. So there is no other alternative to LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is the place we have to stay, and now we have to comply with its rules and regulations. So moving forward, Mike, just
Mhm,
let's dive into the main questioning. And I'm
mhm,
going to ask you the question serial wise. So, the question number one on your screen, Mike, can you
mhm.
clearly explain how LinkedIn collects and uses personal data, profiles, posts,
Mhm.
connections, messages, and activity to train its own generative AI models?
Well, in the same, well, what LinkedIn does is just, everything we've done sits in files on LinkedIn. All that data is available today on LinkedIn. Like I said before, it is part of your download that you can get from LinkedIn. And those files are now being read not just for they're being read for the texts, and there are connections being built between what you have in your profile, what you post about, how you comment, how you like. All those things are being connected, and LinkedIn is building basically a picture of you, who you are, what you do, what you like, and stores this in a database or in something that we used to call a database. Now it's called an LLM. And what is going to happen is that all the applications around LinkedIn will start and will start to function like we use Chat GPT today. Because what do we do on Chat GPT, which is also an LLM slash database, where all kinds of links to whatever we do have exist. And what we do is we write a prompt, we write a question that is then fired into this LLM slash database to get an answer to. And exactly that's what is going to happen is that instead of each of these little blocks within LinkedIn, how you search, how you post, what post you see, where you comment, all of that will come now out of one place, as opposed to every module trying to define how they're going to show you what you ask the platform to do. So in a sense, it's a good thing, because you have one source that all the applications from LinkedIn, all the little pieces that make LinkedIn, actually will serve as the data that you will get to see as a return to your prompt, your question to LinkedIn. And what LinkedIn does is, LinkedIn is just basically going to say, okay, well, Nick is part of these groups. He comments on these people, on those topics, those type of formats. All these things will be interconnected and linked, which is the beauty of an LLM. And as we go along, we'll see that all the applications around it are going to be modified to work on this one unique, by I don't have a better word other than a database, but to inquire into this database for the answers that you are looking for or that you want to see.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much for that brief answer, Mike. I totally agree with the points you've made.
Okay. The,
Thank you.
the,
Thank you so
the,
much.
yeah, the one thing that is good, what is different now than before, is that before it was easily to draw or to make a drawing of how one or multiple algorithms worked on LinkedIn. I mean, we had a decent drawing of what does LinkedIn do when you post. We had a decent drawing of, when you do a search on LinkedIn, what are the criteria that are being used to show people. Now with this new system, it becomes a whole lot more complicated. And as of today, I haven't really seen a drawing that will teach what I would call beginners or people making their first steps how LinkedIn is actually working. Because we define it as relevant, it has to be ranked to a certain degree, and that doesn't tell users to how the system works, and people want to know. And I think many people are trying to make it a drawing, but I think nobody has actually been able to make a good drawing that sticks, because it is so complicated. And that is also the beauty, because it will also help us with getting away from all the cheating techniques that are being used today. All the shortcuts that are being used today, all of that can now be more easily be circumvented. And I think what we'll see is that it's going to be eventually a fairer environment, given the time that LinkedIn needs to, finish the whole training of the LLM, which I have no idea how long that's going to take.
Well, fair enough. Fair enough. Yes, that's correct. That's correct. We cannot tell the time, and it can take as long as next
Mhm.
decade by 2030, 2035. I'm not sure what happens, but
In
your
all honesty,
friend.
I don't think it's going to take that much time. I think we're looking at a few months, maybe a year, plus all the necessary changes that need to happen to the individual modules of LinkedIn. But I think over the next year, we'll see some very big changes, and we'll see, the decreasing reach that we are complaining about, or many people are complaining about. We're continuing to see, we're going to continue to see that. But at the end of the race, or at the end of the period of training, I think it will be a more fairer system.
Right answer to that question, Mike.
I don't know if it's the right answer. I just hope it is.
It is. It is. So, to my audience, this is why Mike is the best of the best. Take this opportunity, use this opportunity to speak to Mike, ask all your questions to all the organizations. I'm also, you know, talking to the organizations Mike also provides team trainings to your people in your organizations. So get in touch with him at once. So, Mike, moving forward, I want to ask you out of curiosity, you've just spoken about the LinkedIn falling reach. So, what do you have to say about why it has fallen from the last year, and is it going to pick up, or if you are going to I mean, say they are giving us an option to boost your post. So, do you think that giving more money will give you a heavy or a massive reach, outreach to all the parts of the world? What do you have to say about this?
Okay, that's an interesting question because there is another dilemma, which is if and well, apparently they're rolling it out to a larger base. As far as I'm concerned, I don't have it yet, but the ability for individual users to sponsor their posts to get more visibility, and that you would hope that the visibility will be outside of your bubble that LinkedIn has kind of created for you. Um, Whether that's going to implicate that we are going to see more ads, and if you look at it today, one in four posts in your timeline is an ad. Now, the question is, will we go to one out of three just to um, satisfy the ability that people will actually show up in a home feed, or, and this is the other side of the medallion, are the prices for advertising your um, content, will they go up if we stay with the current scheme, one in four? Because you're not increasing the number of spaces, but there's going to be more competition for that one or those few spaces. So that's an initial thought that at this point I don't see any answer of. Is the frequency of sponsored posts going to go up to accommodate people that want to sponsor their content, and you'll be paying an amount for to show that to a number of people, and if you pay 100 euros, maybe you'll get 2,000 views extra because that's what you pay for. Or will LinkedIn say, well, you know what, we'll just keep one in four, but instead of having to pay 40 euros for 1,000 people, yeah, you're going to be charged maybe 60 or 70 euros for getting your post sponsored. Because you have to remember, not everybody has the money. So the small time people, if as an individual you're going to sponsor, you are always going to lose against the big corporations because they have more money to burn on visibility of their post than an individual user. So will it benefit the individual user? Yes, but at what cost? And that is a big dilemma that so far we don't know what I mean, I haven't seen an increase in more sponsored content. So what I'm seeing in general is that the cost of advertising is going up and up and up and up. It's actually doubled since last year. So I'm afraid that we might see another doubling in the next year or even shorter than that. But if you pay, you will be guaranteed a number of impressions. And that number of impressions will, in my opinion, depend on how many sponsored content posts will actually be allotted in a home feed, because that's what this is going to be doing.
Well, anyhow, as you have spoken, first of all, I would like to thank you for that brief answer. And I totally agree with your points made here. And small time creators like me and businesses like me, we does not have that much money to give to LinkedIn for boosting our posts, and
Mhm.
we are going to lose when in competition with the bigger organizations have got lots of money to enhance their visibility. So we still have to, you know, struggle with them. So Mike, very
I I
quickly.
I, I kind of want to add something else to the mix though. Is that I've seen the advertising module for sponsoring as an individual. I mean, the number of criteria that you can use is fairly limited. So the question is, if you sponsor, are you actually going to get more visibility with the actual people that you want? Because you're targeting maybe an industry, maybe a level in an organization, maybe a job function, a job title, but will that actually give you the visibility that you initially wanted to? You're really paying for the impressions and not for the results.
Exactly, exactly. I totally agree with that point.
Mhm.
So uh, anyhow, uh, quickly moving on to the next question, but before that, um, anyhow, let's keep this question, which is in my heart, for the
Mhm.
last. Quickly moving on to the next question, which I have for you, is question number two. What specific types of user content, example, job titles, endorsements, comments, or private messages, are being fed into LinkedIn's AI? And is there a distinction between public and private data?
Huh, that's a tough question because that's not a. I mean, job titles, endorsements, comments. The answer to that is yes. That is definitely being used. Private messages. I'm not entirely sure how far they can go into that because that would I think if they go into that, it has to be really anonymous in terms of me commenting or my style of commenting. So I think there they might face some issues from GDPR organizations or GDPR regulations in general. But I think we have to say everything is fair game. Um, and the difference between public and private data, well, what's still private on LinkedIn? That is the question because there is very few data on LinkedIn that's truly private.
Exactly, exactly. I totally agree with you.
I mean, if you look at you look at your profile, what you can do is you can set your profile up to show certain things that would have been picked up by Google in the past, but or that will be shown to people that don't have a LinkedIn profile. But at the end of the day, it's a very limited amount of elements fall under or will users will actually make private. I think the only thing that they have to stay away from is emails, telephone numbers, possibly addresses. But that is part of anonymizing your data because it can never be led back to um, a specific person.
Exactly, exactly. A great answer to that tough question. Thank
Okay.
you, Mike. Thank you
Mhm.
for giving that brief answer. So, to my audience, if you're finding it difficult to understand right now, just ask questions. If
Mhm.
you're listening to this live right now, or if you are listening to the recording also, just put in your questions in the comments or directly to me, and I'm going to put them across to Mike Adams,
Mhm.
and he would be happy to answer all your questions. And he have been helping people for the past 2 decades, 20 years into the business, giving giving, I mean, say the results are awesome. People have been loving his training, and he also trains in different languages, which I had the pleasure of knowing. I tried to get into one of the German events. Well, I do
Yeah,
not know German,
it's
but
it's a little difficult to follow that.
exactly, exactly. So people get in touch with Mike Adam right now to get exceptional results. So, Mike, quickly moving on to the next question on your screen. LinkedIn introduced an opt out for AI training. When did this start, and what does opting out actually prevent versus what still gets used?
When you say, well, theoretically, if you opt out or if you opted out, LinkedIn wasn't going to use any of your data in the AI system. That's the promise they made. Is that it was introduced, like I said, it was introduced, I would say, closely to a year ago, or at least early this year, when they in as a setting in the US, and then it was not done in Europe for a number of reasons. I think one of the reasons was they needed to make sure that there was no contradiction with the GDPR regulation, and they had to obviously explain to the right authorities if and how that would comply with GDPR and all the other digital acts that are in place. So in Europe, this has been on the radar since, I guess, August. So August, September, when there were notifications that showed up on a very regular basis to tell people that, as of November 3rd, you have the option to switch the option off. Now, I think LinkedIn has made a communication error in the sense that they should have set the standard setting to off and ask people to switch it on. The problem with that is that probably very few people would have actually switched it on. So by setting it on the on section and giving the users the choice to switch it off by November 3rd, they offered that choice. But I think from a communications point and from a pushback point, putting it on off or on was it was obviously done for their reasons and not ours. But to me, that was a communication error, in my opinion. But they needed the data, so
Thank you so much for that brief answer, Mike. I totally agree with the points you've made.
mhm,
Yes, they needed the data. And also, as you've said, that if they promise that they are not going to use your data, they would not. And I mean, say, do you think that they will still use the data because you?
we're obviously not sure. I mean, if I would have switched it off and I would see that they would be using my data, I could go to the necessary, regulation boards like the GDPR or the Digital Services Act or whatever it is that I could go to, complain and basically, create a lot of stink for them, but and throw a lawsuit at them. But in all honesty, who's gonna do that? I mean, that's the other thing is that I think very few people will actually take on LinkedIn and in a legal battle unless they have other people behind them, and then a number of people are willing to fight the same battle.
Well, that's interesting, and also very harsh words.
No,
I mean, say,
it's not.
uh,
It's not harsh. It's just if there's enough people to start a case against LinkedIn based on any regulation around the world, they will have to do this. It'll cost money. It'll cost time, and eventually one of the two will have to comply, and that's going to be the end of it.
well, well. Anyhow, uh, only future will tell us that if somebody is ready to take up all that hassle to fight a giant
I'm,
like
I'm
LinkedIn.
sure I'm sure that all the regulatory organizations around the world are looking at this and seeing if they can take on um, an organization like LinkedIn, or even to a higher level, Microsoft, because apparently that data will also be shared with Microsoft, or at least some of that data will be shared with Microsoft. So, I mean, if there's going to be a lawsuit, or if there's going to be a complaint, or a request, it'll come from a regulation board and not from individuals, I think.
Okay, we'll see about that. Only future can tell us that what happens and what not. Uh, so let's quickly moving on to the next question. But before that, I have a question for you. What is
Yeah.
GDPR? Could you please explain us in 3 minutes?
I'll try and do it shorter. GDPR is a regulation which protects the privacy of the citizens in the EU marketplace, which means that whenever a company collects data from us, when we do an opt in, they have to tell us what they collect, where they are storing it, why they're using it, how long they're using it, and so on. And if and when they hit some kind of a snag and they get hacked and stuff like that, what is their plan? How do they inform the people about the leaks that would be in place, and stuff like that? So it's basically the protection of our personal data. And any data that's being collected has to be translated into anonymous data that does not lead to identifying a unique person. If I can, when I get data, and I can basically say, looking at this data, I can say this is this person, then I cannot use that data. And there is an interesting um, um, extra element on LinkedIn, because if, for example, people create a very unique job title or headline on LinkedIn, which is really, really unique. I'm not sure there's many of them, but it might happen. Whenever that is blended into something, into the AI system, I might theoretically be able to identify that one person.
Okay.
That's where
Well,
that's
I
where
can.
the GDPR regulations will be looking at is, if I have as a title chief executive peon, if that exists, well, if I'm the only one to have that title on LinkedIn, that can actually lead to my name. So what LinkedIn will have to do is disconnect that link between that title and my name, because otherwise they've got a GDPR violation.
Mhm. Well, thank you so much for telling us about GDPR.
But
I never.
it's very. I mean, we have to be realistic. Is as a user, or as an individual, I can go to the regulatory commission in every country, and file a complaint, and they will fight the battle for me.
Oh, well, that's news to me. I never knew about that before. But thank you so much for
So
putting a light on that fact. I never
yeah.
knew such detail about GDPR. I knew about GDPR. I have written an exam to pass the GDPR test when I was working for Unisys. We
Mhm,
both are from the same organization.
mhm,
So I've written a exam to pass it,
uh-huh,
but never knew in such detail. So anyhow, moving on to the next question, which I have for you is question number 3. I think on your screen. How transparent is LinkedIn about which of its AI features, like profile summaries, content suggestions, or recruiter tools, are powered by user trained models?
Well, I think they're fairly transparent, because the AI related elements are part of the premium subscriptions, and B, it always says create with AI, or if you use Sales Navigator, this Lead IQ, which it actually says, we're going to use AI to give you the messages, we're going to give you all that stuff. So I think it is pretty um, transparent about the use of AI where it can be used. I don't think there's any. Of course, where it is less transparent, but we know that it's happening, is your home feed, because there is something in your home feed where AI is being used. So that is, we know it's being used. It won't say that this feed was created through AI, but eventually it will. The whole feed will be created with AI in terms of answers. So I mean, I think LinkedIn is fairly transparent, or transparent enough at this point. I think if there would be more transparent, I think a lot of people would get lost. And the other question that one would ask is, how transparent is open AI? Because it's basically a similar model.
Exactly, exactly. I totally agree
Mhm.
with your points made in answer. Thank you so much for that brief answer, Mike. Uh, Moving on to the next question, Mike. And before moving on
Mhm.
to the next question, I just want to ask my audience if you have any questions regarding GDPR or any technical terms which we are speaking right now. For your ease and for your understanding, I'm putting all the questions on the screen, and this recording would be available on
Mhm.
YouTube, Instagram, X, and every other social media platforms, and also short form videos with the important parts edited and cut into important information. It would be available on YouTube and Spotify. Do check my channel, Shaq Says, and also check, give me a like on X. Uh, my handle is Shaq Says underscore. So do that for sure. And also, please follow Mike Adams for all the latest knowledge on LinkedIn. Moving on to the next question, Mike, I have for you, which is going to be question number 5. And let me just put that on to the screen. Okay. So here is the question which I have for you. Can users tell if their past posts or profile updates have already been used to train LinkedIn's AI? And is there a way to request a removal of historical data?
Well, the second part of the question is easy. The answer is no, and not at this point. The first part is, I mean, LinkedIn is using so much data that it really will be very tough to see what part of your profile or your updates or whatever is actually influencing anything on LinkedIn. I think that, in all honesty, users will not be able to tell it. The only thing that you will get, and that also is already today the case if you use a Chat GPT, Copilot, or anything else, is that there are obvious signs that is something is created with AI, but whose style or whatever it is, or whose words are being used, that is never revealed. So you won't be able to do the same, or it will be the same on LinkedIn.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much for that brave answer, Mike. Mike, I want to request you, and also I want to apologize if this session goes out of limit of 60 minutes. Please forgive me for that, because I've got some very important questions which I need to ask you. So
Okay, all
please
right. Yeah,
excuse me for
no
this
problem.
once.
No problem.
Okay, so moving on to the next question, which is question number six, and it is on the screen. Uh, the question which I have for you is, what technical process does LinkedIn use to anonymize or not anonymize user data before feeding it into its AI training pipeline?
In all honesty, I wouldn't be able to answer that question. The only people who can answer that is LinkedIn itself.
Okay, well,
I mean,
sure,
when it comes down to the technical part, there is no data. There is not an engineer or somebody within LinkedIn who actually tells you how this is being done. I don't think it's a very simple process. Um, and to be honest, so I mean, I even doubt there would be one person within LinkedIn that could even answer that question because it's going to be a combined answer from many different people.
fair enough, fair enough. And I respect honesty and straightforwardness. This is why Mike Adam is the best of the best. He does not give you any wrong answers. He'll go back and he'll research for the answers, but he will give you up to date, up to date and perfect information regarding
Mhm.
this platform. This is why you need to follow Mike today. Moving on to the next question, Mike. On your screen,
Mhm.
how does LinkedIn justify using member data to train AI that ultimately benefits the platform and its corporate partners, rather than just the individual users?
Well, the thing is, if LinkedIn was not going to use AI in its technology, it would be seen as a old backwards platform. And I'm going to take us back to the time that we worked for the same employer, which is Unisys. I mean, if Unisys had not evolved from mainframes to servers to consulting services, they would have been gone like so many other companies have disappeared. So from a technology point of view, AI is the future, and they want to be seen by business by business people, by the industries, by corporate users, as well as members, as being at the top of their game and using the latest technologies to improve the platform as it is. And if they wouldn't do that, it would die. And there is a perfect example on LinkedIn. If you take a look on LinkedIn and you look at groups on LinkedIn, my statement about groups is it's the biggest cemetery in the world. Nothing is happening in groups. I mean, okay, there's a bunch of active groups, which I think most of the time is active defined as I put advertising or corporate messages in there. There's not enough conversations, at least in the public and the private groups, the hidden groups. That's maybe a different story, but most of groups, the group functionality has nearly not changed since its conception. People are leave they become members, but they don't know they're members anymore. So the whole concept of groups has actually died. That's why my cemetery example is good. And it's the same thing. LinkedIn has never upgraded groups to the functionality of the rest of the platform, or let's say Facebook, which means groups are considered non-existent anymore today. So if they wouldn't go with AI, they would be seen as what a bunch of losers. They don't jump on the new technology train. I'm sorry to put it that way, but I mean, I think that's the best way to say it.
No, not at all. Don't be sorry, Mike. You're just telling what's real and what is in front of us. Straightforwardness and brutal honesty is needed for us to
Mhm.
improve. And
Yep.
yes, I agree. Groups are dead. If I'm not wrong, if I'm using.
And I have one prediction for 2026, and you're the first to hear it. Groups will be back with a vengeance next year. Based on the new AI modules, they will be back, and they will be back in with strength or in strength. That's my prediction for 2026.
Well, this needs to be heard all across the globe. And I'm going to make sure that it reaches the right ears. And I'm going
Mhm.
to, uh, distribute this clip all across my social media. And
Okay.
let's see if this prediction comes true. So quickly moving on to the next question, which I have for you. It's going to be question number 8, and I am going to put that on the screen now. So the question is, are there differences in AI data usage between free LinkedIn accounts, premium subscriber, and sales navigator or recruiter users?
Well, I can be really short about this answer. The free users won't don't have access to AI on LinkedIn, and they will, to a very small degree. Well, they obviously, when it comes down to posts and stuff like that, they will experience the AI. But I mean, for writing posts, for writing emails, for writing messages and stuff like that, that will be available to all the premium subscribers, whether it's premium, whether it's sales nav, whether it's recruiter. They will have extra elements built into and they are already now built into the program. The free users, when it comes down to posting and stuff like that, and possibly commenting, they will just, yeah, they will see the result, but they won't be able to tap into it. So yes, will there be differences to a certain degree? Yes, and no. I guess that's the probably the right answer. But AI is mainly targeted at the premium base of LinkedIn so far. Now with posting and with other stuff, we'll see. But it would be the same for everybody, because all the premium accounts don't really play when it comes down to posts and comments and stuff like that. Well, comments a little bit, but posts and post distribution. So I think there will be differences, but at the end of the day, they will be minor differences.
Thank you so much for putting light on that fact. I totally agree with the points you've made, and thank you for that brief and insightful answer, Mike.
Okay.
Quickly moving on to the next question, which I have for you. Question number 9 on your screen. With LinkedIn's AI now generating content like emails, post drafts, and profile about sections, how much of that output is shaped by the collective data of all users, including those who never consented?
Well, the thing is, again, it's people who pay that will get access to these functionalities. Um, and today, the way it stands is that the messages are really, you have to kind of create some bit of the stuff before you can ask AI to rewrite it. So what you're actually doing, it's, in my opinion, is the right way to use AI, which means give a basic text, ask AI to upgrade the text to a better level, and then it's up to you to make the final changes. That's the real way that one should use AI on LinkedIn in any shape or form, whether it's messages, whether it's posts. And that's the way, in all honesty, if you use AI outside of LinkedIn, for example, ChatGPT to write posts, well, in all honesty, that's the way you should approach it. Write the basic text, give it to AI, ask for suggestions, take the suggestions and integrate them into your draft, and then post it on LinkedIn. That's theoretically the best way to use it, because at the end of the day, you want to have your own voice. Because if you're going to leave it up to AI, it's not going to sound like you. It's going to sound like the mix of everybody else,
Exactly. Exactly.
right?
The sea of sameness.
Yes, exactly.
Exactly. Fair enough. Fair enough. I totally agree with that answer. Thank you so much for explaining that question briefly, Mike. Moving on to the next question, which I have for you on the screen. Question number 10. If a user fully opts out today, how long does it take for LinkedIn to stop using their data in active AI training? And what guarantees do we have that it's truly excluded?
Well, the thing is, everything from the past up to that day will be used. And do we have any guarantee that they're going to stop after this date? We can hope, because obviously they would have to stop. But we could hope that they actually do this. Under the hood, it's going to be difficult to verify. But everything that is up to that date will always be used. But what happens next is something that we won't be able to verify in any shape or form. I think we have to keep LinkedIn's word, or we have to believe LinkedIn's commitment that they won't use that data anymore.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Thank you so much for that insightful answer. I totally agree with
Mhm.
that answer. And moving on to the next question, which I have for you, which is question number 11 on the screen. This is a bit technical and a tough question. If you choose not to answer, that
Mhm.
be all right. So, the question on your screen, Mike, from a data pipeline perspective, how does LinkedIn extract, pre process, and tokenize user generated content? Example, long form posts, resume PDFs, or message threads before injecting it into its foundational model training loops.
Again, this is a tough question because it gets into the technical element. But what I can say is all this data sits today already on the LinkedIn platform in their databases. So what they have to do is just extract this data from their database and input it into their LLM system in whatever shape or form that happens. So, like I said, all these things you can download through a data archive download. And what you get is about 25, I think it's 25 to 27. Now, I don't know the exact number, but you'll get X number of
Okay. Uh, Mike, Mike, I have lost audio. Your mic isn't connected.
Sorry, I have a magical button apparently on my keyboard that switches my mic off once in a while. Um, but the thing is that data is available on the platform, and they just need to do a data download to whatever format they're going to be using, whether that's PDF, whether that's a text file, or whatever it is that they use to train there. But that data is already on there, so it's just an extract from their current database to feed it into the LLM in the format that they can train the LLM with.
Thank you so much for answering that question, Mike. Mike, we have to discuss about this, but I'm going to bring that question at the last. 360 brew, a new
Right.
thing which needs to be explained. So I'm going to speak about that. But before that, a quick question. It's a bit technical. Again, if you does not want to answer that, you can choose not to. But
Mhm.
I'm going to ask that question, and that question is on your screen. How does LinkedIn handle incremental training? Does it retain its generative AI models in real time with streaming user activity? Or are there fixed batched windows? And what latency exists between opposed to going live and it entering the training set?
I have no idea. In all honesty, I don't know. This is a well kept secret within LinkedIn.
Well, fair enough. Fair enough. A technical question only LinkedIn can answer.
Yeah. I
LinkedIn
mean,
CEOs and board members, I'll be reaching out to you soon for this question.
well, I think you need to dig down to the level of the engineers and programmers that are working on the LLM. I don't think a Ryan Roslansky will be able to help you any further than pointing you to the development people. I think if you look at the 360 Brew, which you brought up the name too, go and talk to those two people who actually got published through the paper that they wrote earlier this year. They might be able to shed more light if they are allowed to.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Moving on to the next question quickly on the screen for you. And this is the last question before we discuss Brew 360.
Mhm.
So the question is, can you explain the feedback loop mechanics where a user engages the AI generated content? Example, accepting a suggested email or profile edit. Is that interaction logged and used to further fine tune the same models that consumed their original data?
The answer would be yes. I mean, I don't. That's how it's not even a feedback loop. It's just continuous feeding of what's happening into the system. So I think the answer has to be yes to that question in all kinds of shapes and forms.
Fair enough. Thank you so much for answering those
Mhm.
questions. Now, let's discuss briefly this special question which I have for you, and it's
Okay.
about 360 Brew. One thing I would like to question is I have not seen a simple drawing of how 360 Brew works with the rest of LinkedIn. Uh, so, if you have any theory, could you please explain how that works?
Well, like I said in the beginning, there is no. I don't think there's any simple way to actually draw how. I mean, it 360 Brew is, in my opinion, is a database. It's a LLM as it's called, but it's kind of like a database with a lot of interconnected elements that define the answer to the prompts that are being written. Look at, like I said, look at it as a database, just like ChatGPT is a database, and then you write prompts to ask questions. And the question could be, I'm looking for second degree connections in my network who have this title and this title and this title. That question will be fired into the LLM, into Brew, to 360 Brew, and will come back with a number of profiles, names, and stuff to actually show up on your screen in the same way that we see it today, because that screen has to be populated. The question really will become, is how quickly from my query that I'm doing will LinkedIn be able to generate the answer to show on my screen? Because we, as users, are not willing to wait for more than 2 seconds or even 1 second to get an answer to our question. So, an example for this is, for example, today is if you do a search, an advanced search on LinkedIn for people in your third degree network with a specific title, I will bet a lot of money that every person in your result list will be in the second degree and not the third. Because the way the search is organized, LinkedIn has a time limit in terms of getting results. So, but LinkedIn wants to show you results. So, what LinkedIn will do is show you the best possible results today. And it will be the same with the LLM. LinkedIn will try, and hopefully faster, try and generate that list. I kind of hope that a search in the third degree will be much better with the LLM than it is with the current way that the screen is built. The technique they're currently using is called a faceted search, which really means we're looking for the best possible answer, but it's not going to be the ultimate answer. It's the best possible because you, as a user, don't want to wait 10 seconds before I can identify what really are the best answers. I'm not sure if you are aware of that, but that's a reality on LinkedIn. And I hope that the LLM, the way the 360 brew is organized, that will actually give you answers faster, which means your results will be actually better and correct. But future will tell. I'm at this point I can't say that it will be, but I would assume that that's part of the answer. But like I said also in the beginning, what is happening is you need to look at 360 brew as the center, as the core, and everything else LinkedIn develops as applications, because every application is developed by a separate team that have their own ranking and displaying stuff. Instead of doing that for each individual application, it will now come out of one consistent LLM/database, and that's called 360 brew. So my best way to do it is a circle in the middle, which is the heart, and then beyond that there's all little blocks that are firing off requests to the LLM and saying, okay, what relations can you put in place, and what has to be the answer, or what will appear as an answer for each individual that we have. It's very complex. It's hard to draw. I don't think anybody can really make a good drawing. And I think today we are struggling with two generic terms to define how this is all working. I mean, people are saying, well, your profile will matter, and it's about relevant content for relevant audiences, but that's not tangible. So it is a challenge to make it tangible. I mean, in all honesty, it is a challenge to, I mean, everything I've seen so far is from LinkedIn and beyond. It's very vague. It's like a black box. You throw things in the black box and you ask the black box something, and hooray, there's an answer. How did we get to that answer? We don't know. But it is the answer.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Thank you so much for putting light on that fact as well. I've got some simple questions based on 360 Brew. Let me just
Okay.
quickly ask you some questions which are very simple,
Okay.
frequently asked questions. I know 360 Brew is a vast subject, and it really needs a total year to understand, study that subject. But there are simple questions which I have. Let me just quickly ask you. Okay. I have a question which is very simple. Can I download a report of how my data has been used in LinkedIn's AI so far?
No. The answer is no, but you can download a LinkedIn archive of what LinkedIn has in its database. So today, I would say the answer might actually be yes, because if you do a download, you know what data LinkedIn has of you. Has this all been used into the LLM so far? The answer is nobody knows so far.
Anyhow, and also, but before moving to the next question, simple question, I just wanted to ask, out of curiosity, the sliding banners on LinkedIn for premium accounts, are they available for free accounts as well now?
Nope, they're only available for premium accounts.
Oh, okay. Well, I have seen a free account, um, which was having that sliding banner today, because well, my most of my work in is on this platform.
Uh-huh,
Be it
uh-huh.
as a LinkedIn trainer or be it as a podcast host, I need this platform to search for hosts and everything.
There's two things I want to add. Is one, you can hide the fact that you're a premium member. You don't have to have the IN logo, gold logo on your profile that tells the world that you're paying for LinkedIn. So if that logo isn't there, which is now my case, I still have a banner, but I don't have the logo that says I pay for LinkedIn. So that's, I think, one thing that might be in play. The second thing that I know is that when LinkedIn introduced the rolling banners, there were some people that actually got a rolling banner on a free account. And if they never changed it, I will bet a lot of money that, you know, they still have it. But if they try and change it, they won't get the option anymore.
Okay.
Because yeah, because what LinkedIn is bad at taking away certain things. They're very bad at doing other things, but they sometimes they take things away, and unless you do a change, it will not disappear from your usage today. Those would be my
Exactly.
two those would be my two options that I would offer you as an explanation for a free account or a so-called free account with a rolling banner.
Well, I've been having a free account from eternity. I'm
Okay.
sorry to use that word, but I had the pleasure of getting a premium account, all thanks to LinkedIn, for 6 months for free. But
Mhm.
after that, I did not pay anything to LinkedIn. No
Yeah.
offense, LinkedIn, but still, I love you. I would love to pay you once I make enough
Okay.
money. But anyhow, uh,
Mhm.
LinkedIn, be it a free account or a paid account, it's a great platform. So
Mhm.
just I just heard about this AI usage. I mean, say data usage for training AI models. Now, I also read that this is for country specific. I am saved. India is not included, nor I think US is included. Is US included? Do you know the countries included for this training model? Because I've read
Well,
South Africa, United Kingdom, France.
yeah, no, the thing is, the US has already been included since early this year anyway. So the US definitely, I think Australia was included in because initially it was like only English countries or English speaking countries, US, Canada, Australia, I think New Zealand might have been part of that. But now it's actually the rest of the world with a focus on the European side of life. Um, and it's true that I haven't seen that India, and I think what they're doing is they're rolling it out based on I won't say language groups, but um, um, language or letter types. By which I mean, if you look at India, probably people use the LinkedIn in their native language with native characters, and I think that's going to be the next. When they do Europe, they have the same alphabet, the same 26 letters. So for those countries, they're doing it now. I think countries with other letter systems like Arabic or um, you know, other languages, Chinese, Taiwanese, Japanese, you name it. Those kind of languages will follow in the next wave, in my opinion.
Okay. Thank you so much for that brief
Mhm.
answer. Next, a simple question which I have for you. It's a very simple question, uh, almost you know, very childish question, but I need to ask this. If LinkedIn updates its AI, do they retain it with all past data, including opted out stuff?
Say that again.
The question is, if LinkedIn updates its AI, do they
Yeah.
retain it with all past data, including opted out stuff?
Yes. Yes, they will. I mean, that's I mean, they won't throw it away. They'll just reuse it. I mean, when LinkedIn updates its LLM in any shape or form, or its Brew 360 Brew, they should have changed it otherwise. Ron. It's easier to say Brew 360 than to say 360 Brew. But oh wait, okay. Yeah, they will not throw away the data. They might have to adapt the data, but they won't throw it away. Everything that was there before will be kept in the same manner.
Mike, do you know the valuation of this project 360 Bro? How much is it? I heard it is around $120 billion. You know,
Yeah, it is a high value, high cost. You take a look at how much Chat GPT is costing, and as a project or Copilot, or I mean, we're talking huge amounts, but it's also very innovative technology that's being created, and it's very complicated and requires a lot of research. So unless the money is there, it's not going to evolve. It's not going to be any good. I'm a little surprised, but that's that. LinkedIn is starting more, or is kind of starting more or less from zero, and they're not piggy banking on, for example, a Copilot or a Chat GPT that's also in bed with Microsoft. So it's kind of strange to see that we are seeing yet another LLM being needing training, and I guess Facebook is doing the same thing. I'm sure X and the other ones will do the same. So I think that's why I make the reference to the databases. It's just another way of creating a company owned with relevant data, but much more focused data. But it should have been piggy banked on, like a Copilot or something like that. But who am I? I mean, it's a different country, it's a different company, and I think they want to keep um those engines apart from each other, because who knows, maybe LinkedIn might be sold by Microsoft to somebody else one day. I mean, if tomorrow somebody comes along and says, well, we have $52 billion that we want to throw at to buy LinkedIn, I'm sure Microsoft could consider it because they would make 100% on their investment of the 26 billion they paid to start with.
Okay, just a curious question. How many companies Microsoft has acquired till now?
No idea. A lot, a lot, a lot. Many. Well, I mean, they've acquired so many companies that slowly died. I mean, think about, I guess, Nokia, that then again started up, Skype, which they bought up and then died, and I mean, they do a lot of acquisitions at Microsoft. They also let companies start up again and then they sell them to other more relevant people. So all that being said, I you know, it's a continuous game of acquiring and selling, and that's any business, whether it's Microsoft, whether it's Google, or any company, or even Elon Musk and his thing with companies that fly to the moon and drive on our roads. I mean, they keep acquiring more companies to make their technologies much better, and that's what Microsoft is doing. If tomorrow Microsoft acquires all that technology, they might consider saying, okay, bye bye to the platform. That is not probable going to happen, but I mean, when they were bought, when LinkedIn was bought, what is it, 2015, 16, something like that, by Microsoft, everybody thought that LinkedIn would have been integrated into Navision or their CRM system, which was a logical thing to do, but they never did. The two programs stayed independent, and they still operate as separate companies.
Exactly, exactly. And again, a simple question out of curiosity. If you want not to, I mean, say if you choose not to answer the question,
Mhm.
that's all okay. Just wanted to
Okay.
ask you if tomorrow you're offered the position to lead a 360 group, the new venture of LinkedIn, what is one thing you would rectify, and what is one thing you would like to add to this program?
Well, I think there is one thing that really needs to happen is a decent form of communication. And if there's any, I mean, I know that there's a lot of sensitive issues in terms of knowledge and IP and all of that stuff, but I think LinkedIn should step a little bit out of the uh, the cave, and start communicating more openly and clearly with its user base, and not with a company here and a company there and a larger corporation there, but as a general rule, just to make sure that everybody is on the same path and same level of understanding, and it will yeah, it would flatten the way people are using it. There would be less cheating. There would be less people with privileges, or whatever you want to call it. I think the whole communication is, or the whole communication is LinkedIn's biggest challenge. I mean, it is really sad that people like myself and Kevin D. Turner and Linaire Johnson and you name the people that you've interviewed already on the program, that we are the people who have to discover new features to announce to the worldwide community. That is really sad, isn't it? I mean, there is not even one service within LinkedIn responsible for creating a list of new functionalities. as they're being rolled out. Once in a while, there is they talk about something and they talk about something once in a while, but there is no consistent. I mean, this year we have 150 things that happened to LinkedIn. Last year it was over 250. They had to be discovered. Somebody all of a sudden, I discovered this week that the lead form on a company page is now gone. There's no well, there is communication in the help files, but you have to look for it. But it's not a form of communication to the outside world where I can say what changed in LinkedIn this month. I go to Kevin D. Turner's overview.
Exactly. Exactly. Transparency, the word transparent communication is
Mhm.
important, is very important, to be very honest. I
Yep.
totally agree with that point. And
Okay.
one thing you want to add, this is the thing which you want to rectify. Anything
Mhm.
you want to add
No,
to the
no,
new program?
no, no, because it will need to be implemented and basically show its value towards the future. I think, but to me, the whole thing is communication. There is a lack of communication to the user base, and unless that happens, everything else is, I mean, secondary.
Okay, that's a great answer to that
Mhm.
question. And one more simple question which I have is, what happens to my data if LinkedIn gets bought by another company? Does AI training continue?
Hmm. That's a good question. Yeah, if LinkedIn is bought by another company, the agreement will be that the data that they have will also go to that other company, and I would assume any development projects like 360 Brew will also go to that company. So, um, if that would ever happen, the answer would be yes. Everything will just move to under another name, another brand, whatever.
Just last week, I was discussing major acquisitions and company takeovers with
Hmm. Yep.
Kevin Kevin Gaylord is one
Hmm.
of the best CEOs.
Okay.
He was the president for the depot before. He understands everything
Hmm.
about these acquisitions and everything because he's been a member of the board, so
Yep.
he knows exactly what happens in the boardrooms.
Hmm.
So I've been seeing SpaceX acquiring major companies like EchoStar and BlackRock acquiring EA Electronic Arts. That's a gaming company.
Hmm.
And things like Saudi Arabia Public Investment Fund, they are investing heavily into the U.S. market right now.
Mhm,
Uh,
mhm.
with these acquisitions, I could definitely predict, if there is a good offer, LinkedIn will get sold off.
Yep. I mean, that is something that can happen any day, depending. I mean, are there today signs on the wall? Probably not. The only thing that we're seeing is that when Microsoft communicates about their quarterly results, the amount of space LinkedIn is being given in the quarterly results is shrinking and shrinking and shrinking. So that could be seen as a sign that there might be a day when LinkedIn is being sold, but that's not written in stone, as they say.
Exactly. Nothing can be said. Nothing can be predicted. Okay,
Mhm.
nothing can be told what happens the next day.
True.
So anyhow, one more, a very simple question which I have. Can I
Okay.
block can I block specific AI features like auto-generated messages without opting out fully?
Can you block? No. No. No, you can't. I think anything that's AI generate. I mean, whether it's AI generated or not, you won't be able to block it. If you block users, you won't see their content. But if users block you, you won't see them. So no, you won't be able to. I mean, in all honesty, no.
Good answer. Good answer. Another simple question which I have for you.
Mhm.
Does LinkedIn's AI use data from imported contacts or emails syncs?
That function is no longer available and hasn't been for a long time.
Okay. Next question which
So
I have.
the answer
If
is
I
the answer is no, because you're no longer able to import contacts from any other source. Neither can you import emails. So that that kind of ends your question there, I think.
fair enough. Fair enough. Next question for you is if I share a post outside LinkedIn, like via email, does that external share affect AI trading?
No, I don't see why that should be. If you share, no, I don't. I would say no.
Okay. Yeah. Next question, which I have: are there any free tools or browser extensions to monitor LinkedIn's AI data use on my account?
No, not that I know of.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay. Last and final, third last question, which I have for you: do international users outside US, EU, have the same data rights against LinkedIn's AI?
Now they do, yeah. Now it's the same. I mean, with this extension, the answer is yes. The only thing that LinkedIn still has to abide to is the GDPR or Digital Services Act that are in place in the EU. And but other than that, it's the same. And I think there's very few things that today LinkedIn is because LinkedIn is GDPR compliant because they do everything that's needed within the GDPR regulations. So yeah, we would be at the same level. There won't be any difference.
Okay. And the next question, which I have: does LinkedIn ever delete old AI models that were trained on my data?
Does LinkedIn delete all models?
Does LinkedIn ever delete old AI models that were trained on my data?
I have no idea. I don't know. I don't. No, I don't think so. But I have no idea.
Okay. Last and final question for you. Finally, Mike, if everyone opted out, would LinkedIn's AI still work, and what would break?
That's a good question. If everybody opted out, yeah, well, it's too late now. But if everybody opted out, LinkedIn would have a problem training its data. The only way they could train the data is to buy external data from other sources, but then it wouldn't be LinkedIn specific because that's the strength, of course, of this thing. It's based on LinkedIn data from people who are on LinkedIn and use LinkedIn on a daily basis, or on a regular basis, on non-regular basis. But that's the strength of the model because it's based on the platform itself. If they would have to go out and buy the data, it wouldn't be as applicable as it needs to be on LinkedIn. But if everybody would opt out, that's the only way they could go. Which brings me, by the way, to something else that I want to mention is LinkedIn has announced that they are or will be looking for individual people to help train the AI 360 brew, and they will actually be paid for it. Now, you can only get into that program if you're invited into it. So they're probably looking for people with industry specific knowledge. And yeah, obviously as a LinkedIn trainer, I will never qualify because they're not looking to get more LinkedIn trainers. They're probably looking for more people in healthcare, in production, in finance, and stuff like that. So I probably would never be invited, but that's one thing that I found is that LinkedIn will be, and that's one thing they actually announced, that they will be looking for people to train the AI, and there's a whole explanation of that in the help files of LinkedIn, by the way.
Well, that's a great answer to that question. And just for a lighter moment, I just want to ask you this. You know, has the AI ever generated a job title so weird it sounds like a sci-fi villain? Chief Synergy Alchemist. Anyone?
Not that I
I
know
mean,
of,
saying
but I haven't tried it.
just for the lighter moment. Well, that
Yeah,
was not the question, but just to make things easy, because
yeah.
this 360 brew is a very complicated subject,
Yes, it is.
according
It
to
is.
me.
It
It
is.
is. It is. Uh, I'm not sure uh, if we are ever going to learn everything about this new AI model or this new project.
Well,
But
I'm sure there's going to be lots of people trying to write about it, and once in a while we'll get a little nugget from LinkedIn to lift the veil a little bit up, but we're never going to get to the bottom of it because it's too technical, too scientific, too high above our pay grade, as they say in the US, and all of that stuff. So I think we're just going to have to live with it and do the best we can from what we know.
exactly, exactly.
All
So,
right.
uh, you know, all right, audience. Um, this has been an amazing, amazing event. If you have learned something new so far, hit that thumbs up or type insightful in the chat. And if
Mhm.
you have a question for Mike, go ahead and drop it now or when you're looking at the recording.
Yep.
Just put your questions in the comments or directly to me or Mike, and he would be happy to answer them all. So, Mike, today's discussion was truly powerful. You have helped us see beyond the algorithms into the real impact of AI on privacy,
Mhm.
control, and trust. So, before we wrap up, I would love for you to share one final piece of advice. What's the one thing every LinkedIn user should do right now after watching this podcast?
Follow me? No, I just became kidding. What should every user do? I think decide whether you're going to be using AI or not. I think today that is no longer the question. I think most people want to use AI. So from that side, just try and keep informed about how AI is transforming our professional life. And let's not forget that LinkedIn was created for humans by humans. Let's keep it that way.
Awesome. Awesome. So, to everyone watching, if you found a value in today's conversation, don't just stop here. Follow Mike Adam on LinkedIn for cutting edge insights on digital strategy and data protection. And of
Mhm.
course, subscribe to the Shag podcast on YouTube and Spotify because we are just getting started with these critical conversations that redefine how professionals thrive online. Thank you so much, Mike, for being with us today. It has been
You're
a
welcome.
real honor to
Yeah.
having you. And to our
That-
live audience, thank you for your energy and your question. and your time. And Mike, from the deepest depths of my heart, thank you for accepting my invite
Mhm.
at such a short notice. I
No
am
problem.
really, I'm really grateful for
Mhm.
your kindness, your generosity, and with your towering personality, you are really down to earth and a humble person. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, and I look forward to our next conversation in the future. I'm always open to a little bit confrontational, provocative stance on LinkedIn and LinkedIn issues.
For sure, for sure. I'm going to reach out and request you with folded hands to
Okay.
be on the Shack podcast one more time. So
Mhm.
until next time, stay
Until
informed,
next time.
stay empowered, and as always, keep shining on LinkedIn. Everybody, thank you so much. This is your Shack, and I'm signing off.